Have you ever noticed how the moment you stop chasing something, it starts chasing you? There's a paradox in human relationships that the ancient Stoics understood better than anyone alive today. The more desperately you cling to someone, the more likely you are to push them away. But here's the twist that most people miss. Emotional detachment doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. It means becoming so secure in yourself that you don't need external validation to feel complete. Today I'm going to share with you the Stoic principles that will teach you how to emotionally detach without losing the woman you care about. In fact, when done correctly, this approach often makes you more attractive, not less. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. This is about genuine personal growth that benefits both you and your relationships. Let me start with a story that perfectly illustrates this principle. Marcus, a 28-year-old software engineer, was madly in love with Sarah. He texted her constantly, always made himself available, and basically structured his entire life around her schedule. He thought he was being the perfect boyfriend. Instead, Sarah began pulling away. She started taking longer to respond to his messages, cancelled dates, and eventually told him she needed space. Marcus was devastated. He did what most men do in this situation. He doubled down. He sent long emotional texts explaining his feelings, showed up at her workplace with flowers, and basically begged her to reconsider. The result? Sarah completely cut off contact. 6 months later, after discovering Stoicism and working on himself, Marcus ran into Sarah at a coffee shop. But this time, he was different. He was genuinely happy, focused on his own goals, and while he was friendly, he didn't act desperate or needy. Within 2 weeks, Sarah was texting him again, asking to meet up. What changed? Marcus had learned the art of emotional detachment. The first principle of Stoic emotional detachment is understanding the dichotomy of control. This is perhaps the most fundamental concept in Stoicism, taught by philosophers like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius. Simply put, there are things you can control and things you cannot control. Your thoughts, actions, and responses are within your control. Other people's feelings, decisions, and behaviors are not. When you fully internalize this principle, something magical happens. You stop wasting emotional energy trying to control outcomes that are beyond your influence. Instead, you focus entirely on what you can control, becoming the best version of yourself. In relationships, this means you stop trying to control how she feels about you, whether she texts back immediately or what she decides to do with her free time. Instead, you focus on being genuinely interesting, emotionally stable, and living a fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around her validation. The second principle is what Stoics call preferred indifferents. This doesn't mean you don't care about the relationship or that her presence in your life doesn't matter. It means that while you prefer to be with her, your happiness and self-worth aren't dependent on that outcome. You're complete as an individual, and the relationship is an enhancement to your life, not the foundation of it. This is where most men get confused. They think emotional detachment means becoming cold or treating the woman badly. That's not detachment, that's just being a jerk. True Stoic detachment means caring deeply while holding loosely. You can love someone completely while also being prepared to let them go if that's what's best for both of you. Let me give you a practical example. Instead of texting her multiple times when she doesn't respond immediately, you send one thoughtful message and then go about your day. You have hobbies, goals, and friendships that fulfill you. When she does respond, you're genuinely happy to hear from her, but you weren't sitting by your phone waiting. This creates a completely different dynamic. The third principle is negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. This ancient Stoic practice involves imagining loss before it happens, not to be pessimistic, but to reduce the fear of loss that drives needy behavior. Spend time regularly imagining what your life would be like if this relationship ended. Not because you want it to end, but because accepting this possibility frees you from the desperate fear that creates clingy behavior. When you truly accept that all relationships are temporary in some sense, you start appreciating them more fully in the present moment. You stop taking your partner for granted because you're aware that nothing lasts forever. Paradoxically, this awareness often makes relationships stronger and more intimate. The fourth principle is focusing on your own virtue and character development. The Stoics believed that the only true good was virtue, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Everything else, including relationships, was secondary. This doesn't mean relationships aren't important, but it means your primary focus should always be on becoming a better person. When you're genuinely focused on self-improvement, several things happen automatically. First, you become more interesting and attractive because you're growing and evolving. Second, you have less time and mental energy to waste on needy behaviors. Third, you develop genuine confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. This might look like dedicating time each day to reading, exercising, developing your career, or pursuing creative interests. When she sees that you have a rich, fulfilling life that doesn't revolve around her, she's more likely to want to be part of that life. The fifth principle is practicing present moment awareness. One of the biggest causes of relationship anxiety is living in the future or the past. You worry about whether she'll leave you, or you ruminate on past conversations and interactions. Stoics practiced staying focused on the present moment, dealing with what is rather than what might be. When you're with her, be fully present. Listen actively, engage genuinely, and enjoy the experience without constantly analyzing what it means for the future of your relationship. When you're apart, focus on your own life and activities instead of wondering what she's doing or who she's with. Now, let's talk about how to implement these principles practically without coming across as distant or uncaring. The key is maintaining warmth while developing inner strength. You can be loving, affectionate, and caring while also being emotionally self-sufficient. Start by developing what I call emotional abundance. This means having multiple sources of fulfillment in your life. Meaningful work, good friendships, hobbies you're passionate about, physical fitness, and personal growth activities. When your emotional well-being comes from multiple sources rather than just one person, you naturally become less needy and more attractive. Next, practice what Stoics call the discipline of desire. Instead of constantly wanting more from the relationship, more attention, more commitment, more validation, practice being grateful for what you have right now. When you approach the relationship from a place of gratitude rather than need, everything changes. This doesn't mean you don't have standards or that you accept poor treatment. It means you appreciate what's good about the relationship while also being willing to walk away if those standards aren't met. This balance between appreciation and boundaries is incredibly attractive. Another practical application is learning to enjoy your own company. Many men are so uncomfortable being alone that they seek constant contact with their partner to avoid facing themselves. Develop the ability to enjoy solitary activities, reading, exercising, pursuing hobbies, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts. When you genuinely enjoy your own company, you stop seeing time apart from her as something to endure and start seeing it as an opportunity for personal growth and self-reflection. This shift in perspective is noticeable and attractive. Let's address a common concern. Won't she think I don't care if I become more detached? The answer is that healthy detachment actually demonstrates that you care in a mature, sustainable way. Needy, clingy behavior isn't love. It's insecurity disguised as love. True love wants the best for the other person, even if that doesn't include you. When you love someone from a place of emotional strength rather than emotional need, you're able to support their growth, respect their autonomy, and create space for genuine intimacy to develop. You're not trying to possess them or control them. You're simply offering your best self and allowing them to choose freely. This is where many men struggle because they've been conditioned to believe that constant attention and availability demonstrate love. In reality, these behaviors often demonstrate fear. Fear of abandonment, fear of not being enough, fear of being alone. When you work through these fears and develop genuine emotional security, your capacity for healthy love actually increases. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his meditations about loving people while accepting their impermanence. He understood that attachment to outcomes creates suffering, but love itself doesn't have to cause suffering if it comes from the right place. Here's a practical exercise you can start today. Spend 10 minutes each morning practicing negative visualization. Imagine your day proceeding normally, but also imagine potential challenges or losses, including relationship difficulties. The goal isn't to become pessimistic, but to build emotional resilience and reduce the fear that drives needy behavior. Then spend another 10 minutes focusing on gratitude for what you have right now, including whatever good exists in your relationship. This combination of accepting potential loss while appreciating present good creates the perfect emotional balance for healthy detachment. Another exercise is to regularly schedule time for activities that have nothing to do with your relationship. This might be time with male friends, pursuing a hobby, or working on personal goals. Protect this time and don't sacrifice it to spend more time with her, even if she asks. This isn't about being selfish. It's about maintaining the personal growth and independence that makes you attractive in the first place. Remember that emotional detachment is not a destination, but a practice. Some days you'll feel more secure and detached than others, and that's normal. The goal isn't to never feel anxious or never want reassurance. It's to not let those feelings drive your behavior in ways that damage the relationship. As you develop these skills, you'll notice that your relationships naturally improve. Not because you're using techniques or strategies, but because you're becoming a more emotionally mature and attractive person. You'll find that you attract people who appreciate your strength and independence, and you'll repel people who are looking for someone to complete them rather than complement them. The ultimate paradox of emotional detachment is that when you need someone less, they often want to be with you more. When you're complete as an individual, you become the kind of person that others want to share their life with. You're not a black hole of need that drains their energy. You're a source of strength and positivity that enhances their experience of life. This doesn't mean every relationship will work out perfectly. Some relationships are simply not meant to be, and no amount of personal development will force compatibility where it doesn't exist. But when you approach relationships from a place of emotional strength rather than emotional need, you give them the best possible chance of success. Moreover, even if a relationship doesn't work out, you'll be fine because your happiness and self-worth aren't dependent on any single person's approval or presence in your life. This security is incredibly liberating and allows you to love more freely and authentically. The ancient Stoics understood something that modern psychology is only beginning to appreciate. The healthiest relationships are between two complete individuals who choose to share their lives, not between two incomplete people trying to use each other to feel whole. As we wrap up, remember that developing emotional detachment is not about caring less. It's about caring more effectively. It's about loving from a place of strength rather than weakness, abundance rather than scarcity, freedom rather than fear. Start implementing these principles gradually. Don't try to change everything overnight. Pick one area to focus on, whether it's developing better hobbies, practicing gratitude, or simply spending more time alone. As you grow stronger emotionally, you'll find that your relationships naturally become healthier and more fulfilling. The woman in your life will notice the change, and she'll likely be drawn to this new version of you. Confident without being arrogant, caring without being needy, present without being clingy. This is the kind of man that secure, high-quality women want to be with. If you found value in today's discussion about Stoic emotional detachment, I encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Share this video with any man who might benefit from understanding these principles. In the comments below, let me know which of these concepts resonated most with you, or share your own experiences with emotional detachment in relationships. Remember, the goal isn't to become emotionally unavailable or to play games. The goal is to become so secure in yourself that you can love freely without fear, which ultimately benefits both you and the people you care about. The Stoics knew that true strength comes from within, and when you develop that inner strength, everything else in your life, including your relationships, naturally improves. Thank you for watching, and remember, you don't need anyone else to complete you. You're already complete. The right person will simply complement the amazing life you're already building.